The Daily Mail wants $75 million and could well bankrupt Prince Harry following his disastrous legal action against the newspaper, which saw all 97 claims thrown out by the furious judge, Mr. Justice Nicklin.
Prince Harry is on the hook for a lot of money. I brought my friend and the best lawyer out there, Christopher Melcher, to break it all down.
The king's behind the Sussex scam. We are going over the white pill that was slipped into Charlotte Griffiths' mouth. We're going over Meghan Markle's fake Emmy.
As according to an excellent source, His Majesty the King, fresh from meeting Meghan Markle and his estranged youngest son, Prince Harry, alongside Harry's two children.
Court said that it should be a little over £4 million is what they collectively should be spending reasonably on this case. And on the Daily Mail side, it was about £4.8 million.
$75 million. That is the exact number a judge just ordered Prince Harry to pay after a catastrophic defeat in the UK courts. But here's the terrifying reality that has the Sussexes scrambling behind closed doors. He simply doesn't have the liquid cash to cover it.
As a result of this latest brutal move by the publishers of the Daily Mail, it could leave Harry penniless and facing ruin. Be clear, folks, the Daily Mail are angry and they are waging war on the Duke. Now, the Mail, led by their fearless and heroic boss, Paul Dacre, are pushing the judge to remove so-called spending caps so that Harry can effectively face an unlimited legal bill.
When the money runs dry, the entire carefully crafted Hollywood illusion collapses. And what it reveals about how the justice system handles royals when the gloves finally come off is nothing short of shocking.
Prince Harry, he just had a massive loss. I know you're not going to sit here and trash him as much as I will, I imagine, because you're a professional. But legally, we can trash him because this case was a pretty big loss, no? I mean, he was warned ahead of time. They didn't clearly have as much evidence, and now there's these staggering costs.
Top California attorney Christopher Melcher recently broke down the legal wreckage on Popcorn Palace, exposing just how deep of a financial and legal hole Harry has dug for himself. This wasn't just a loss, it was a total, absolute demolition that could fundamentally alter Harry's standing, his marriage, and his future in the royal family.
First of all, questions would be, how could this become so expensive? And so we have to look at the nature of the allegations. There were claims going back, stories 20 years ago that were allegedly sourced from illegally obtained information. And so the defendant there has to then go back to those stories.
The bleeding budget, inside the $75 million crisis. To understand how a legal battle gets this staggering, you have to look at what Harry was actually demanding. He dragged the Daily Mail into court over allegations stretching back 2 decades, claiming stories were built on illegally obtained information.
So Paul Dacre, who of course runs the whole media enterprise, he's the former editor of the Daily Mail and now the head of Associated Newspapers, he says that the total legal costs for both sides are in excess of $75 million. Now, a source close to the Daily Mail said the company fully intends to go for the jugular in recovering as much of its costs as possible. This ties in with what we discussed the other day when I said that the Daily Mail are going to wage war on Harry.
But litigation isn't just about walking into a courtroom and declaring you're right. The defense had to track down decades-old sources, unearth ancient emails, and interview witnesses who don't even work there anymore, or aren't even alive. It was a massive, multi-year undertaking, and in the UK system, the rule is brutal. The loser pays.
He was warned the case should have never proceeded to court. Their main witness had done a 180-degree turn. And so I do struggle to understand what the thinking was of the claimants after all of that information was developed, that they think that they could have succeeded. One thought, I guess, is that the court might have been impressed with the celebrity of the claimants and thought that, hey, maybe there's enough evidence here to kind of squeak by with a win. But obviously that did not succeed.
Before the trial even kicked off, the court set a baseline estimate suggesting a reasonable budget for the defense would be around £4.5 million. Harry's legal team is desperately trying to use that original estimate as a cap. But the Daily Mail isn't playing nice. They are heading into a massive cost hearing demanding full indemnity, wanting every single penny of the tens of millions they actually spent defending themselves.
What it believes in advance of trial, the reasonable spend would be on costs. And for the claimant's side, the court said that it should be a little over £4 million is what they collectively should be spending reasonably on this case. And on the Daily Mail side, it was about £4.8 million or so, or £4.5 million, somewhere in there. And that's what the court assessed that it believed the cost would be. And that could serve as at least an initial cap on what they could recover, even though they ended up spending, we keep hearing a different number. It was £30.5 million. Now it's £50 million.
But doesn't he have insurance for this? That's the multi-million-dollar question. Yes, the claimants had litigation insurance, but it's a drop in the bucket. Collectively, the policy is rumored to top out around £15 to £20 million. Against a total potential debt of $75 million, that leaves an astronomical uninsured black hole that Harry is personally liable for.
That the claimants had obtained. And so there's a question there, whatever costs are assessed against them, would it be covered entirely by insurance? Now, the insurance that all of them had is not sufficient. It was maybe, and again, I see different numbers, 15, 20 million pounds, something like that collectively of the insurance. So if this cost cap got the lid taken off by the court.
And it gets worse. Insurance companies aren't charities. They are currently investigating whether the coverage can be completely voided. Why? Because if an insured party provides dishonest or misleading information when securing a policy or during the proceedings, the company can legally pull the plug. If the insurers walk away, Harry is left standing entirely alone with the bill. An interim payment of roughly $13 million is due almost immediately.
Now, this judge, Campbell, expects Mr. Justice Nicklin to order an interim payment, right? Just a down payment on account of around $13 million, payable within 14 days of his decision. So that means that by mid-August, when the Mark Dolan show is in America, by the way, because we're going on a US road trip, by mid-August, Harry has already got to contribute to that fee of $13 million. If costs cannot be paid, enforcement options include bankruptcy proceedings, charging orders over property, and other insolvency measures.
This isn't a hypothetical future problem. The clock is ticking and real cash has to move now. The perjury problem and the whitewash outburst. The financial ruin is terrifying, but the threat to Harry's remaining credibility is far worse. The blistering 400-page ruling systematically dismantled all 97 of Harry's claims. 0 wins. Not a single partial victory.
After the judgment, Prince Harry publicly criticised Mr. Justice Nicklin, describing the ruling, as I say, as a complete and obvious whitewash. Now, a source close to Harry described issuing that statement as, and I quote, very stupid and very unnecessary. So you've got somebody that's a wise legal head next to Harry, around Harry, saying that was a stupid thing to do. But Harry is a very foolish man. So the source said Harry coming up with that statement, calling the verdict a whitewash, was very stupid and unnecessary, and pointing out that the judge still has wide discretion over costs.
Even more damaging, the court noted severe inconsistencies in Harry's testimony. Under oath, Harry explicitly denied knowing or ever meeting media figure Charlotte Griffiths. The defense, however, produced the receipts, text messages, and digital evidence proving a connection. In an ordinary courtroom, lying under oath triggers immediate perjury charges and potential jail time. Because of his title, Harry walked away with a damning footnote in a court document rather than handcuffs.
Now that is damning. On the first day of the trial, Harry's PR man, a member of the relentless and ruthless Sussex public relations machine which never sleeps. Harry's PR man swaggers up to me, she says, to tell me that Harry didn't like the tone of one of my pieces in which I implied he was a liar. Well, his lies were exposed in the Royal Courts of Justice when he pretended that he cut off contact with Charlotte Griffiths from the Mail on Sunday, pretended he didn't know her, when in fact they'd had movie snuggles and he was Mr. Mischief. She goes on to say, to the Prince, this ruling is by contrast more or less risk-free. He can declare it a complete and obvious whitewash and insinuate it's part of a conspiracy to exonerate the Mail without worrying someone will take his job away or how he's going to pay the massive fees.
Yet, instead of quietly taking the loss, Harry went on the offensive. He released a highly controversial public statement slamming the judiciary and calling the decision a whitewash. It was a move that legal experts call pure insolence. You do not publicly insult the integrity of the court, especially when that very same judge still holds the power to decide the final cost allocations and the insurance disputes. It showed a staggering lack of accountability, a childlike refusal to accept the rules of the system he willingly entered, and it reportedly left jaws on the floor back at the palace.
Now, there are concerns that the insurers could dispute or reduce cover if the court makes a punitive costs award based on the judge's criticisms. Mr. Justice Nicklin's 436-page judgment criticised Harry for relying on suspicion rather than evidence and for placing excessive reliance on the aforementioned Gavin Burrows, who later withdrew his key allegations, could increase their liability. In other words, Harry's reaction, calling it an obvious whitewash, may well prevent the insurers from paying out.
This legal disaster has ignited a massive Cold War behind palace walls. King Charles finds himself caught in a painful bind, torn between his duty to protect the integrity of the monarchy and his private desire to shield his son from total financial ruin. Rumors are swirling that Harry is actively angling for a royal bailout to cover the impending interim payments. But Prince William has drawn a hard, uncompromising line.
Prince William is going to have to gut the entire institution. He is going to have to strip things back in a way that it makes me wonder how he will be able to do it, because this rot is setting in so deep. All of the time that the king is allowing Harry and Meghan to do this, to become political, to behave like this, and all of the time that King Charles is totally ignoring the public and ignoring his duty as defender of the faith, all of the work the late Queen did is being undone, which means that then the position Prince William will be starting from is hugely, hugely eroded.
William is looking toward the future of the monarchy, and he knows that bailing out Harry using what ultimately traces back to institutional wealth would spark a catastrophic public backlash. The Prince of Wales has already begun subtly signaling that the protection is over. Prior to Harry's brief, tightly controlled meeting with the king, William ordered all photographs of Harry and Meghan to be cleared from view across the royal residences.
Prince William has his red lines. Prince William has zero tolerance for the hypocritical Harry brother, who not only betrayed his trust, betrayed after they went through such a tragedy as boys, and no one can ever say that that wasn't terrible, but what has Prince William done? Facing exactly the same tragedy, dealing with exactly the same tragedy, he decided to serve his country, to be dedicated to his family, and he did not throw his family under the proverbial royal bus. And the only thing that's worse than everything Harry did, I think, is to have monetized it as well.
It wasn't a petty emotional swipe, it was a highly calculated strategic strike. William is ensuring that Harry cannot use family proximity to rehabilitate his brand or spin a narrative of reconciliation to his Hollywood backers. The message from the future king is clear. You made your bed, now sleep in it.
I stand with Prince William. I think there's a forgiveness for things, certain things, but then it's when things are so deliberate. I do think that King Charles, obviously a very Christian man, he wants to be viewed as...
I've got to put Hillary.
Well,
do you think he is a Christian man?
Well, yes, he's a man. The head, what is he? The head of all faiths now. Yes, he's put it this way. He's a man of God. Is it Allah or is it,
I mean, I'd say he's a man of Allah at the moment. He's now the head of faith in a multi-faith nation.
Right now, Harry is trapped in an impossible paradox. His income streams have slowed dramatically, yet his overhead costs remain astronomical. Between the $8 million mortgage on the Montecito mansion, a $4 million annual security bill, and hundreds of thousands spent on private staff, he is burning through his finite inheritance at an unsustainable rate.
So Harry has, we understand, an $8 million mortgage on his Montecito home, which they can't afford. But Meghan is so obsessed with her public image, and she's got to compete with Oprah Winfrey and Gwyneth Paltrow. So they've got the big house that they can't afford. It's like the place in Portugal. That's $9 million. It's money they haven't got. Meghan is a total spendthrift. And it's very ironic because Harry would be more than happy just on a farm in South Africa, raising cattle and drinking beer and hunting and shooting and eating wild game on the barbecue. But Meghan's got expensive taste. So $8 million mortgage on the Montecito home. The annual mortgage payments of $469,000 reportedly. Staffing costs of $250,000. A previous legal bill of $2 million when Harry previously sued the Daily Mail and then changed his mind and had to pay his costs and theirs. And then there is the cost of annual security, reportedly $4 million.
He cannot downsize because doing so would admit defeat and destroy the independent global billionaire narrative he and Meghan have traded on for years. So, instead, he is forced to maintain the illusion of extreme wealth while staring down a legal bill that could bankrupt him. The next few weeks will decide everything. If the insurance company pulls coverage, the financial hit will be catastrophic.
Of not just Harry having lost his legal action against the Daily Mail, but the fact that he could be on the hook for a large share of $75 million if Paul Dacre has his way. So the big issue you've got is how Harry reacted to the verdict. If he'd taken the hit and said, okay, I accept the verdict, and we all make mistakes. I realise I've made more than most, but, fair dinkum, life happens. Then that's fine. But he's exposed himself now by saying this was a complete and obvious whitewash that was not altogether unexpected. He wrote, the lengths to which the court has gone to exonerate the Mail is as shocking as it is totally unwarranted.
If Parliament pushes forward with questions regarding the official verification of his children's royal status, the institutional ties could sever completely. The old rules that protected the royal family are breaking down, and Harry is running out of time.
She writes, the genuine heartrending pain and isolation of this bereaved child, Prince Harry, is mixed in with tragic camp. Referring to the Sussexes' media efforts, rich people, she says, is what they are, who have served up precisely 12 episodes of a single podcast series that was not even in the same zip code as a hit. Yikes! So look, Harry's in trouble. Reputationally, financially, the king's annoyed. This has been a total hot mess. And what does Meghan make about this? Let me know in the comments. What do you think Meghan makes?
What do you think? Does Harry deserve a royal bailout, or is it time he finally faced the same legal consequences as everyone else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you want to see the full breakdown of William's secret strategy to isolate the Sussexes, click on the video on your screen right now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a thumbs up if you enjoyed this deep dive. Thanks for watching Popcorn Palace, and we will see you in the next video.